Hello everybody and welcome back. And as you can see right now, this is our reverse shell code, and what we want to do is actually try to make it to actually be able to send this hello world message in a while true loop. That means for every string we send to the target will send back this hello world string. So in order to do that, we need to place this in a while true loop, so while true, and we need to tab all of these commands so it can execute them infinitely. So first of all, we execute the socket creation, then we call the shell function, then we close the socket after the shell function finishes. Even though this function will actually be in an infinite loop, so that means that we actually need to code something that will make this quit right after we specify some certain command. So let's say, for example, if we send Q to this reverse shell, it will terminate and it will close the connection. So first of all, we need to receive the command, then if command equals to Q, what we want to do is we want to break out of this program, and then we will perform the sock.close. In any other case, we will just basically set this message to be equal to hello world, and then we will send the sock.send message to the server. So let us save this. Let us also nano the server part of the code. Since here as well we need to specify a while true loop, so while true. Let's tab everything right here. And we also need to specify that in case the command is equal to Q, so if command equals to Q, we want to break out of this program, or basically break out of this loop. In any other case, we will just specify else right here. So in any other case, we want to send the actual command, wait for the reply, which will be a string of hello world, and print the reply. And after we specify Q, we want to actually close the connection. So s.close right after the shell function. And let us see right now how this will work in valid syntax. So let us see. Okay, so we are missing two dots right here in order to determine the function. Okay, let us run this right here, listening for incoming connections. Let's open a second terminal. So let's let the server be here and the second terminal right here. Let us enlarge both of them so we can see everything a little bit better. And if I go to my Python and then reverse and run my reverse shell, we get prompted for the actual command. If we type ls, we get printed out hello world, who am I, once again hello world, and if we specify Q, we get the broken pipe. Now let us see why we actually get the broken pipe. So we nano the reverse shell right here. Let us actually try to remove the actual shell function for now on, so we can see if that is the actual reason why we are getting the broken pipe. So we just tab everything one step back and we delete this part right here, which is the shell function. We also need to call the actual socket creation before the while true loop. So we will just paste it right here and we will delete it from here. So if we save this program right here and we try to run this once again, since our server-side code worked good, it quitted after the actual Q command. So let's see right now, if we specify Q, we once again get the broken pipe for some reason. So let us see why is that the case. In our server-side code, we sent the actual command. So let us just see. Okay, so the reason is because we actually have to send the command first. Since we didn't send the actual Q command, our target or our reverse shell didn't know that we actually sent the Q. So it actually terminated the connection. It just saw that we, as a server, terminated the connection and it didn't know why that happened. So we need to actually send the command first. So target.send command. The server-side code should be good. So now we know that the problem was not in the actual function itself. So what we can do is we can actually copy this Now we are doing a bunch of changing the code. So let us actually put this in a function as it was. So def shell, and paste all of this code. So right now everything should work good. We actually need to call the function after the socket creation. We will actually right now receive the queue as a command, and we will be able to break out of the loop since our code will know that we got the queue back. So let us clear the screen in both of our terminals. Let us run the server once again, run the reverse shell. Okay, so we got an actual error. So while true, let us see what the error is. Okay, so this is not tabbed properly. Make sure to tab it with the tab button, every line right here. That is what the error is about. So I will just delete all of these empty spaces and I will just press tab. Make sure to not actually press the space, since you will get the error for your code. So right now, if I save this once again and run the reverse shell, expected and intended block. Oh yeah, since we are in a function, we need to actually tab all of this one step in as well. So just like this. And hopefully after all of this work, we will be able to run the actual reverse shell. So here it works everything good. I specify queue and we quit both programs without any error. So we successfully are able to right now send multiple commands. So all we have to do is actually just check out our server. So the next thing we actually want to perform is actually executing the functions or the commands that we send to the target. Since all our program does right now is it receives a hello world string from the actual reverse shell. That is the server part of our code. But the reverse shell part of our code, right here in the else statement, needs to have some execution of this command that it receives. So for example, if we type ls, it will actually print all of the files in that directory. So in order to actually do that, what we will do is we will import an actual subprocess library, which will allow us to execute any code that we actually want to execute in the terminal. So in order to do that, just type here import subprocess. And right here, the message, we will delete all of this. Since we don't need this, we will code everything in the else statement from the beginning. We will call our variable where we will receive the output. We will call it result. And there we will store the actual output of this command that we get from the server. But before we do that, we need to create a process. So in order to do that, we need to type here. So just follow with me, subprocess.popen. So we're opening the process, which is the process that is ran by the command that we receive. So it is stored in this variable right here. We need to specify shell to be equal to true, stdout to be equal to subprocess.pipe, stderror to be equal to as well subprocess.pipe. So this is just the syntax for the subprocess library, and std input to be equal to subprocess.pipe. So once we create the proc variable, all we need to do is just take the proc, and from that variable we need to take the standard output.read. So we want to read from it, and we want to also get proc.standarderror.read. And we will store both of these in the result variable, and once we actually store it in the result variable, we can just send or sock.send the actual result. This will happen in every case. Instead of the case where we specify queue, then it will just break out of this loop and it will close the connection as well as the program. So if I just Control O and save this, also check out the server side of code. And let's rename here as well. So we don't want to have message variable. Let us call it result so it doesn't get confusing. And we want to print the result. So our result variable will store the output of the command executed on the target machine. then we will print that output. So let us see how that will work. We save this. We run this server in this terminal right here. And in the other terminal, we run the reverse shell. We get prompted the shell. It says connection established from this IP address at this port. If we type ls, we can see that we get listed the available files in that current directory. So we know that everything works well. Let's try other commands as well, such as who am I. It says we are the root, such as ifconfig. We get the output of our ifconfig, so we know everything works perfect. Also, if we specify q, it will quit both of our programs, and we know that we successfully created the reverse shell that is now able to execute commands in the target system. So, for now on, we did a pretty good job at actually creating the server-side code and the reverse shell side code. Now we want to actually add a bunch of different functions, and to fix some of the functions is there are errors right here, such as, for example, if you wanted to change directory, you would not be able to, as well as if you wanted to receive the amount of data that is larger than the 1024 bytes, I believe. Yeah, 1024 bytes, which we specified right here. Our program would actually crash, since we are trying to receive more data than we specified our result variable to have. So we need to fix that as well. And we will fix that in the next tutorial. So that will be about it for this tutorial. I hope you enjoyed it, and I hope I see you in the next lecture. Bye!